Welcome to The Source with your host, Dr. C.T. Curry, and co-host Coby Owens. News all across the nation. The Source. Stay in the loop in the city of Wilmington, Delaware. Work together for change in the community. A call to action to find the resources. The Source, the latest in news.
Good evening. This is Dr. Curry.
This is Coby Owens.
And welcome to Source. Coby, this has been an interesting week for you all at the Irving League. Y'all had a feisty gubernatorial debate. How do you think it went?
So, yeah, like you said, the gloves definitely came off for this one. I was joking with someone saying at the first, before the primary, at the first gubernatorial debate, everyone's, oh, my friend, I agree. But this one, they definitely took the gloves off and really try to differentiate themselves between one another. I think, one, Ramon tried to take home the point that Matt has received a lot of money.
I saw that.
From developers from out of state. But again, he is allowed to do that. That is a part of campaigning. Do I agree with all his donors? Absolutely not. But again, that is a part of it, right? You can raise money. If you're taking this race serious, you're going to start raising money to be able to get your message out there. I think Matt really did a good job at reminding people that, yes, while Ramon tries to paint himself as a yellow Republican, he is that. MAGA red. And that from that statement there, that MAGA red statement, on the debate, definitely the heat got turned up then. But again, I think they differed on Department of Education and what needs to be done for equitable education here in the state, which includes
he wanted to get rid of.
Mike Ramon saying he wanted to actually get rid of either the Department of Education or get rid of the different school districts we have. He said we have too many. You either let the 19 stay and get rid of the department, or let the department stay and get rid of the 19.
It doesn't make much sense.
It does not make much sense.
But don't he use his own money for his campaign?
Yes.
So what's the difference between using the special interest money and him using his own? Because that's his own interest, right?
That's his own interest.
So he wants everybody to be. So he wants to best buy the election because money is what causes you to help you to win.
I know that's right. And again, he's a business entrepreneur. He has multiple different businesses, from small business flower shops to fitness centers and everything like that. If you remember, his shop was the one that got in trouble. His swim facility is the one that got in trouble for having the naked pool parties. Oh, wow. A few years ago.
He's a conservative Republican. They don't do those type of things. Coby, you shouldn't say that on the air.
But yeah, so again, I think the debate went very well. Again, another big issue was housing. Yeah. We all know the cost of living is way too expensive for a lot of people, whether you have a mortgage or if you're renting. It's too expensive for a lot of people. So again, they kind of differed on their plans on how to actually address not only production of affordable housing, but also bringing down some of the rental prices.
Yeah, I think that as I was sitting there watching the debate, and I'm watching, Matt was really coming at him pretty strong, and then his answers were very aloof. They were not really pointed and in the right direction. I've noticed a lot of signs in Wilmington. I don't know whether he's making some inroads or not, but I noticed that he does have a lot. Matter of fact, when I pulled on our campus today, he left a sign here.
Oh, really?
I having it removed because I don't want no signs put up here.
Right.
But is it that he got that kind of support, or is his people just putting out the signs everywhere?
His people are putting out the signs everywhere, and what I implore everyone to do is pay attention to where those signs are. If they are on vacant properties, if they're on public throughways, that does not equal support. Right? If they're on private properties where people are living, that is what true support is. And you see that's leaning towards Matt's side, right? Matt has it on the properties, at least up here in Newcastle County. I can't speak to Sussex or Kent. I haven't really been down there recently. But again, that's where we're at right now. And I think one of the things that we have to keep an eye on is making sure that these candidates, when they lose, they come and get their signs. Oh, okay. But also making sure you don't get persuaded just by yard signs, right? Actually look in to people's platforms, see what they stand for, listen to the debates, listen to what they are saying on this campaign, not just who has a nice sign.
Yeah, and for those of you who are still trying to make up your mind, and we're going to get to the local news, you can go to Ezion Fair Baptist Church YouTube channel as well as Facebook and view the entire debate. It was a very healthy and very feisty, as I used, debate, and I thought it was very good. It wasn't as many people here, but the truth of the matter is, it was a very, very strong debate. Well, Coby, in the news, and matter of fact, one of the things that he talked about was Murder City, USA, and he said under certain mayors, and I yelled out, but I don't think they heard me. Yeah, you want to call it the black mayors, but it's been the Murder City capital, if we're going to label it that,
right,
under just about every mayor that we've had, because we've had high crime. This week we had 2 people were shot on Wednesday morning on West Street. Real early in the morning. What's going on with that?
Yeah, so I actually woke up to some text messages about that. I have some friends who live in the area who was wondering if I knew what was going on, which I didn't. But there was a shootout on the morning of the 30th, Wednesday the 30th, on the 200 block of West 26th Street, around 6:15 a.m. Again, 2 victims were found nearby. One was a 33-year-old man who was in critical condition, and another was a 22-year-old man who was in stable condition. My biggest concern is the kids who were in that area. There's a bus stop not too far from there. Actually, there's 2. One on 26th Street, on Washington Street, and then the others on 27th and Market Street. So again, very concerning about a whole shootout happening. At least 15 shots, as people were saying, were fired out. So again, this happened right at the time that kids are just starting to come out the door and get ready for school.
Well, that's really sad, and it's scary that it's happening. We can't even pinpoint times now. They're just there's random gun acts, morning, afternoon, night, evening. It's just always happening, and my heart goes out to a lot of the citizens in the city, because we report about one section. What district is this one in?
That is 2nd district.
That's the 2nd district. We report about this, report about that, but we're really going to have to get a hold on it, and we hope that it doesn't get any worse. One more thing I want to bring up. I wasn't sure whether or not we addressed it last time we were together, but there was a fatal assault that occurred with a 60-year-old man, and I'm not sure. I couldn't remember if we covered it. It's been a week and a half now, and I'm concerned because it is a violent, vicious type of assault that occurred on one of our residents on Market Street. Do you know anything about it?
Yeah, so this happened in the 2100 block of North Market Street back on October 20th. Right. The guy who was assaulted was a 60-year-old man, and he unfortunately passed away on Tuesday from his injuries from that assault. Again, this is something that is extremely concerning. This is actually the 2nd incident in which we've seen an assault turn deadly, and the victim actually passed away from the brutal attack that they took. So again, I hope this isn't a new trend here in the city of Wilmington, but from what I've seen, I have not seen any new police reports or updates put out about just being vigilant, keeping an eye on your elders in the community, or elders being targeted. Yeah.
Now, on your new council, I know that there's not much y'all have done thus far because y'all not really officially the council.
Correct.
But will y'all really spend some time not beating up the police, but trying to make suggestions and ideas of how to augment it?
Yeah. So one of the big things that I think this public safety committee has to focus in on is overall public safety, right? And getting honest with the truth. You have individuals who believe that we as a people cannot handle the truth. And if it's put out into the media, if it's put out, publicly by the city, then businesses won't want to come here. No, businesses want to know that, yes, there are issues, but there's a plan to fix it. And I know we've said that We were just talking earlier about how many shows this is. I think 170 something shows ago, we started talking about this, right? So there has to be a concrete plan put in place. And when there was a plan back in the day that was never funded, that I thought should have been funded. And I really wish Jay was here to talk about this plan, because he was such a huge part in it. And it was the HOPE plan.
Oh, yeah.
Making sure that they can actually really address some of the hot zones here in the city, looking at where most of our shootings are taking place and giving wraparound services, helping the community lift up out of the social ills that are causing individuals to pick up those guns. That's the type of plan I think we need to bring back. I think we need to look at this gun violence epidemic as almost like a public health issue. And from that lens, working with public health officials to actually bring forth good policy to start addressing some of the issues we're having on the street.
Yeah, and again, no one really wants to beat up on the police, but they need direction. They need some positive influence, and I hope working with the new mayor, the new council, that people won't be stuck in their self-interest, because one of the things that is criticized with you, I'm gonna stop joking so much on you liberals, but with the liberal swing of our party, is that they don't want the police to do their job, when in actuality we do, but there comes some services that is needed in order to do it. And there's an appropriate way of doing things. You just don't go through with one brush stroke and beat up, and who you're beating up is the very group that has always been marginalized. Yeah. But I really think that we need to have a fruitful conversation. And do you plan to ask to be on the police committee?
That is one of the committees that I asked to be on. So I am looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think that'd be good. And community, and when there's community support needed to give some comments, I want to make sure that I'm available to help in that area, because I do want to see safer streets. I do not want to see police officers beating up on our citizens. But by the same token, some of the citizens in this community are very vicious in that they are attacking 60-year-old people and killing them. They are shooting people. And again, I don't believe that we need to just go shooting everybody that look like they whatever, but there has to be a systematic system, and we have to execute the plan. But first, there has to be a plan. We got a whole lot to talk about today, Coby, with the politics. We only got 2 days before the election. So I'm going to get to your Coby corner, and we're going to spend the rest of our show really trying to analyze and see where we're going to be on Tuesday night. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Hello, my name is Coby Owens, and I'm running for the Democratic nomination for the City Council 1st District right here in Wilmington. I am running on a platform of addressing our affordable housing crisis, making sure we're helping both homeowners and renters both live in this city, live in safe and affordable housing. I'm running on a platform to address affordable housing, but also looking at quality of life issues, making sure that our street signs are up, our streets are fit, our sidewalks aren't cracked, and making sure our communities are safer for everyone. And lastly, I am running on a sustainable development and economic growth platform, one that makes sure we're investing into our neighborhoods, and our best investment that we can make is investing into our youth, making sure that we are preparing them for our future. And then lastly, expanding senior programming to make sure that they continue to age in place right here in the 1st District, in the city of Wilmington. I'm doing this for y'all. Vote for Coby Owens.
New guests, new conversations, new stories every Sunday at 11 a.m. Grab your cup of coffee and tune in with Dr. Curry for our weekly episodes of Coffee with Curry.
The world looks a whole lot different depending on where you stand.
Sure does.
From growing up in Wilmington to serving as a diplomat in a country devastated by war, starting 2 small businesses that created jobs, and teaching middle school math in neighborhoods that are too often overlooked and left behind. I'm Matt Meyer, and no matter where I stood, if something was broken, I've always tried to make it better. So when the insider said I had no shot against a 12-year incumbent, I ran for Newcastle County Executive anyway.
Gotta love an underdog.
Knocking on nearly 10,000 doors because our county looks different depending on where you stand, too.
Hey, Mr. Meyer, in our classroom, You always made us show our work.
We put the county checkbook online in the first 6 months to show where your tax dollars are going. We are making our county cleaner and greener, investing in early childhood and mental health services. Started 1,000 kids coding to give low-income students high-income skills. And we created the Hope Center, helping thousands of people get off the streets and into homes. Now, as too many families struggle with the rising costs of housing and health care, too many communities go without clean air and clean water. And our schools rank 46th in the nation. I know we can do better, because we should be a state where every kid gets a great education, where every family has a safe neighborhood they can afford to call home, and every woman makes decisions about her own body.
You got that right.
I'm Matt Meyer, and I'm running for governor, so that no matter where you stand, we can all see a brighter future.
Don't forget the website.
Join us live for our weekly worship. Every Sunday at 9 a.m. on Facebook and YouTube.
Well, Pastor, I'm doing the best I can, but I still gotta have a little Chardonnay, and I still gotta have a little this, and I gotta still sneak around. The devil is a liar. That's an excuse.
Wilmington's most exciting church.
And we're back. Coby, you are the Coby Corner chief, and even at the debate, we had a couple people saying to me they love that Coby Corner because he brings us some good information. What's going on with it?
Yeah, so first I want to talk about a new plan that we have here in the state that is changing how people apply for public housing assistance.
Okay.
So all 5 of the housing authorities, Delaware, which covers everywhere that's not covered by the other 4, Wilmington, Newark, Milford, and Dover, or the other 4, are coming together to consolidate their applications into one centralized platform. And that could be found at Delaware, spelled out, affordablehousing.com, in an effort to make it easier for people to find affordable housing.
And that means once they fill out that application, don't want you to roll too fast. Once they fill out that application, it will be applicable for all 5 county, all the counties that have housing that you just mentioned. Was it 4 or 5? I couldn't remember. 5. So Delaware, Wilmington,
Newark, Dover,
okay.
Milford, and then of course.
So that one application will be able to be applicable for all of them.
Yes.
Okay. Great.
So right now, it's only open to people who have already have applications submitted to one of those 5 entities. Once that window closes, then it will be opened up to new people as well too. Again, you can log in and update your information, fill out the paper application, and drop it off at one of the housing authorities, or you can log on and go ahead and do it through their portal. Again, this hopefully will help streamline the process of finding affordable housing. We are still in a 21,000 unit deficit here in the state of Delaware of affordable housing. So again, I know, like I said at the beginning of the show, housing was a huge talking point in the debate. Whoever the next governor is, and whoever is the next Speaker of the House and pro temp of the Senate, they all need to come together and really focus in on what can they do to better streamline the process of creating affordable housing here in the state of Delaware, and doing it in a way that is equitable and livable, not just some of these paper mache houses that people like building, but actually making sure it's rooted in caring for the community.
But a lot of the things, I think the reason why we have such a shortage is because they closed down a lot because they couldn't handle the crime or management. I mean, let's put it that way. Because sometimes the crime wouldn't be as horrible if we had appropriate management.
Yeah.
They couldn't manage some of these facilities, like over here in South Bridge, they closed down a whole section of houses just because, for what reason? We got all this homeless here. Over there in Riverside, at some point, it's not hard. I was raised in the projects, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm all right with the projects. We took care of each other. No, everything wasn't peachy cream, but we took care of each other. I think bad management is the reason why a lot of them, and some of the affordable housing that people are building today is not really affordable housing.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you, for example, if you're trying to sell a house for $200,000 or $300,000 in a community that the real value of houses is only $50,000 or $60,000, how is that affordable housing?
Yeah.
So we need some true affordable housing, but we need some good management, I believe, too.
No, I agree with you. And we need better oversight. So right now, the Wilmington Housing Authority's nonprofit, their board president, who I ran against, is pushing this project in my district. Most of our houses are selling for anywhere between $179,000 to about $200,000. And I'm not gonna, throw any other part of the city under the bus, but I'm just saying, in the first district, we have some nice houses.
Yeah.
We have a front yard, we have a backyard, we have a parking spot, we have some garages as well too, right? So the houses over our way, they sell in that range that I said. He's building new houses that are supposed to be affordable. They're townhomes. Again, they look very nice, but they're $350,000.
Yeah, it's not affordable.
You have no front yard. Your backyard is literally the sidewalk that is backed up against. You're right next to a graveyard. And you have a parking garage, right? That's it. But very little additional parking in front of your house. Who's going to pay $350,000 when the average median in that district, even with the hardworking class district that we have, the average median of the first district is $36,000?
Yeah.
Make it make sense.
They ought to touch reality.
So you have to make sure, again, that you're focused on the times today and not just trying to make a buck for later for your organization. So we have some work to do. But again, I'm excited about this Housing Authority initiative. I know they have a lot of reforms left to do as well, too. I think the state kind of leads the way with that. Wilmington has a lot to catch up on. It's something that Herman Holloway had always fought on as well, too. So again, we have some work to do, but there is still a very long list of people who are waiting for housing and people who, again, we just need more units of housing here in the city of Wilmington. My next point that I wanted to talk about is the Port of Wilmington. This was something that was talked about heavily during the election time, about how much money was being introduced for that from the bond side. So $193 million was given to them for this project. Overall, in structure, is the new port operator, and it's a proposed $635 million container terminal to be built right up the road from the Wilmington terminal down here that we know back here by South Bridge. A federal judge on Monday vacated multiple important federal permits that would allow the new terminal to be built. That is huge. That pretty much halts this in its place, right? The Edgemore terminal would have been the largest shipping terminal in Delaware since the actual creation of the Port of Wilmington that opened in 1923. So again, they were pushing this as a green port. It was going to be energy efficient, quadruple the number of cargo containers that could come in to the Wilmington port, but then also allow larger ships to come in as well too. The depths of the port right here, the Port of Wilmington currently is about 25 to 30 feet. When it's on the Christina, it's about 45 feet, which would allow those bigger shipping containers to stop here. That would most likely pull more jobs down here as well too, because it's cheaper for the shipping companies to stop in Wilmington than it is to go just a little further up the water up to Philly, right? And while it may be only a few hour difference, they're saving thousands and thousands on fuel costs by stopping just a little shorter. So it is a huge opportunity. this throws a huge wrench in the plans. But again, the port of Philly, the Philly port, and the operators up there have raised several legal, regulatory, and political challenges to block the proposed container expansion here in Wilmington. And it looks like this judge has sided with them as of right now. So
now,
again,
who filed that?
The port of Philadelphia and their operator.
Because
yes.
they don't want to see Wilmington get this type of...
Correct.
And the judge, where's the judge from?
That I don't know. He's from
a federal judge.
Yes, a federal judge,
Okay,
U.S.
okay.
District Court 3.
Okay, and Philadelphia feels that they would lose out on their economy,
Right.
If we were to do this. This is really interesting. So that is the real setback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, we will see how this goes.
Mm-hmm.
See if there will. Well, it probably will be an appeal. But as this continues on, I will keep everyone updated and let everyone know where things are.
Well, great. And you got anything else on your agenda?
That's all I have on my agenda.
I'm ready to get started with this state of politics,
too.
okay? We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to be back and talk about the whole notion of what's going on in the politic world. We only have 2 days, and in 2 days, we're going to make a decision. And I hope, even though Coby don't believe we're going to hear a decision until Thursday, I hope that on Tuesday night, we hear Kamala Harris is our new president of the United States. We'll be right back.
As a mom, I want my kids' lives to be filled with joy and possibility, and I want that for every kid. That's why I support No Kid Hungry. They work in schools and communities to make sure every kid gets the healthy meals they need. Please join me in supporting No Kid Hungry for all kids.
Thank you.
Christopher Halted. I'm very active. It was a Saturday morning. Normally I go for my normal walk.
With no warning, Chris suffered a near-fatal heart attack. But thankfully, Brian Buckley, a bystander, saw him collapse and rushed to help.
He did this big gasp for air and then just stopped. It's like I went into autopilot. It's like all that training I did back in the day around CPR just magically came out of nowhere.
Because of the CPR training that Brian received, Chris did make it and didn't die on the trail that day. CPR training provided by the American Heart Association.
Looking at your hands, these two hands could save a life.
Being a father, you want to be around. You want to be around for your kids.
Heart disease is America's #1 killer. To learn more about how the American Heart Association helps save lives, go to helpheart.org.
Hi, I'm State Senator Sarah McBride, the Democratic nominee for Delaware's open congressional seat. Too many people think government does not respect them. I try to do things differently. That's why I brought Democrats and Republicans together in Delaware to pass paid family and medical leave, because guaranteeing that families have support respects families. It's why I help champion a livable wage, because respecting workers means they earn a decent wage. And it's why in Congress, I will always defend Social Security and Medicare, because I respect that these are benefits that seniors have earned. I'm running for Congress to build a government that sees and respects all of us. I hope to earn your vote in this campaign.
And we're back. Real quick, Coby, we have a real serious matter on the table, and that is we're going to be electing a president. We're going to be electing a vice president.
Yes.
Both houses will be up for grab. That's just on the national level. Governors around the country, and definitely one here in Delaware. We're going to be electing state representatives, state senators. We're going to be electing county people as well as city people. When is, because I want to make sure I ask you the right questions to make sure that our people get it. When is election day?
Election day is November the 5th. If you live here in Delaware, it's 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Right.
And if you're in line at 8 p.m. and there's a long line, stay in line. They have to let you vote no matter what. As long as you're in line by 8 p.m., you will get to vote.
So why is it so important to vote?
Yeah, so this election, as you stated, you will decide so much, whether it's on the federal level, the state level. There are a lot of regulations that are going to be determined, but I would say one of the biggest things on a federal level is you will have 1 to 3 Supreme Court justices retire over the next 4 years. Just due to health issues, age. They
is
are
Clarence
at
Thomas
that.
one of them?
He is potentially one of them.
Okay.
And I would be very happy to see him no longer on the court. We have seen the damage that Donald Trump can do when he appoints 3 judges to the federal court. Most people know about Roe versus Wade. This Supreme Court has also overturned affirmative action.
Yes.
And so many other policies that have been extremely important to minority communities across the board, right? We cannot allow for him to get an opportunity to pick 3 more Supreme Court justices. We cannot allow him to implement his Project 2025 plan. See, he won last time, but he didn't know what he was doing. So his biggest supporters, who know he's not the brightest, said, well, we're going to give you a blueprint and you can talk all you want, just get this done. And now he has a blueprint to hand over to whoever's going to be the new GOP leader in the Senate, to whoever's going to be the leader in the House, and say, get this done. Below the president, you have our U.S. Senate and our U.S. Congress. And we have the opportunity to make history in electing just the 3rd African-American woman, 4th to serve in the Senate, in Lisa Blunt Rochester, who has served this state as the lone representative in the U.S. House for the last 8 years, 10 years almost, 8 years, and now is running for the U.S. Senate to replace Tom Carper. I could think of no one who would better represent us than Lisa Blunt Rochester. I'm excited to cast my vote for Lisa come November the 5th. And then on the House side to replace her, it is a battle with Sarah McBride, who is a state senator right now, who led the charge on getting paid family leave here, something that helps workers, especially helps mothers who are trying to raise their children and families who are trying to raise their children and start new families, encouraging that here, is running to be our next U.S. Congresswoman. She would make history in her own right as being the first trans member of Congress. But then bringing it back to Delaware. Delaware, we're going to have a new governor, lieutenant governor, speaker of the House, multiple new members of the General Assembly, both on the Senate side and on the House side, potentially. We have to pay attention to who we are voting for. Our education system is broken right now. We are ranked among the bottom in the nation. Jay Street led a lawsuit with the NAACP and won that says that our system, our funding system that is 80 years old, is out of date and does not properly give money to schools, especially minority schools who need it the most. So again, it is going to be so important to elect someone who has a vision to how to fix that. We have rising healthcare costs here. And we also have to look at how can we bring in new revenue streams for the state of Delaware to keep this state thriving. This will be the first time since the 80s that a governor is handing off a balanced budget with a huge surplus. Almost $496 million in the reserves, a balanced budget already. So again, whoever is the next governor will be able to start day one without having to make cuts, without having to change too much up. They can start by implementing their policies in which they ran on and was elected on.
Wow.
So it's going to be interesting. That's why I think it's so important to vote.
Well, let me add to that. For those who are trying to figure out whether or not they're going to vote now, you already voted.
I will be voting.
Oh, you have not?
No, I vote on election day with my whole family.
Yeah, and that's, see, I was thinking that I was by myself, and I was going to say, well, Coby, because he's going to vote early. But I wait until election day. My daughter and I go in together, and her mother goes in her own spot. So what I was going to set you up with, it ain't going to work. So I'll just leave it there. But for those who have not voted, tell us how much more time we have to early vote.
Yeah. So as of right now, you have until 7 p.m. today to go early vote. At any of the closest locations, you have the Powell in Wilmington, you have the Hudson Center, you have the Apple Service Center, you have the Newcastle County Election Warehouse on Lisa Drive off of 13, you have the Claymont Community Center, and then you have the voting site down by the Wingstop next to the ShopRite in Wilmington. So those are the only places you can go vote for in Newcastle County. Again, you have a few more minutes to go vote. As long as you're in line by 7 p.m., they will let you vote. You have that right. If you did not vote and have not voted by the end of today at 7 o'clock, then you only have November the 5th left, which means go to your regular polling place, stay in line, take a lawn chair if you need to, because people are fired up to vote this cycle, which means lines may be long. So again, go prepared, take a bottle of water, take a snack with you. The first day of early voting last Friday, we saw wait times of almost 3 to 3.5 hours, right? And people stayed in line to vote. We saw that continue through the weekend. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, when people had to be at work, they were still in line. Tuesday, we have seen historic numbers when it comes to early voting. In total, over the 10 days in 2022, 55,000 people voted.
Excellent.
That was great. As of Monday, right? So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 106,000 people have voted here in the state of Delaware in 2024, doubling that number pretty much. And we look forward to seeing the numbers for the rest of the week. They had, that was with 6 days remaining, and the lines continue to be very long.
Are they able to decipher whether it's Republicans or Democrats?
Yes, yeah.
So do you have any breakdown on that?
So no. So you know what the registered people who voted, you know what party they are, but you don't know how they vote until Election Day.
Oh, until Election Day, because there's a lot of Republicans who will be voting for Kamala Harris too.
Correct.
So you can't really decipher that as much neither. And let me just, while you're there, people are going to be trying to intimidate. I've watched around the country how people have been trying to burn our early voting boxes. What suggestion would you give to our seniors? You have already told them to have the water, to take a lawn chair with you, to try to make sure that you're comfortable as much as possible. Have somebody go with you. But do you feel that we will have enough security? Will Wilmington police in the state?
So police will be on standby. Again, if there is an issue, go report it to the election workers who are inside. They know what to do. If you feel as though your vote is being hindered, right, or the process is being hindered, please call this number 1-833-335-3326 or 3367. I'm sorry, I gave the end of my number. 1-833-335-3367. And we can put that up on the screen. That will take you to our voter protection hotline. It's actually the hotline that I will be running for the state of Delaware, that I have been running since the beginning of early voting. Again, I've heard all the different complaints that have come in. But again, we want to make sure we can track them. We have a team of attorneys ready to go if need be. So we are looking forward to high turnout, but we are also prepared if there's any issues that arise on Election Day.
Yeah, Trump have been projecting a lot about cheating, because that is something that we have noticed that the GOP has become professional at. So therefore, they are saying everybody else is cheating, and the people who have been trying to do it the right way have found themselves being the victim of a lot of the scams and things of that nature. Unless, correct me if I'm wrong, I just want to make this statement. Unless you hear something officially from the state, the same voting place you're supposed to go to, you go to. There's no closing earlier voting. All these are tricks that they've been trying to use. The place closed at 5 o'clock when in actuality it didn't. We don't know who all is going to try to get involved in this election. So we want to make sure that we follow suit everything that we're supposed to, unless you hear official word. Do you have any official words or anything? Go ahead.
Delaware polls are open until that 8 p.m. moment, right?
Yeah.
Anything else, barring something happening, a disaster happening, the polls will not be closing early. So again, stay in line. Do not listen to the rhetoric. But then also, if you're hearing stuff like that, please let us know. Again, contact that number I gave y'all. And please let us know so we could take the proper action, whether it has to be going into the courts. We have, like I said, we have a team of attorneys ready in every county and spread out throughout the county, ready to go into courts if need be. But please let us know so that we can, make sure we fight back against it. And one of the other things that I've heard is you have to show your ID outside the polling place. That is not true. If someone randomly walks up to you and say, oh, let me see your ID, let me see your voting card, you do not have to show them. Only the official Delaware state election workers will ask you for that once you are inside at the little machine, ready to go vote. Again, you do not have to give your information to anyone other than those people.
Right. And I think that's really important. That was my next question. I was going to say, what kind of ID should we bring? So we should bring a state-issued ID.
Yes.
In order to vote, because we don't want you to stand in line that whole time, and then all of a sudden you can't vote because you don't have any ID.
Correct. And if you don't have your ID on you, you can sign an affidavit in which it will be checked afterwards, stating that you live at this address, and you can go ahead and vote with a provisional ballot.
Understood. Now, let's talk a little bit for just a minute on Trump's closing argument and his wonderful event, I'm being facetious, at Madison Square Garden. I talked about this on my show. I spent a whole hour today on the Coffee with Curry show, just really breaking down Trump's comments, as well as the comedian comments. He really struck a nerve this time. Do you believe, before we get into all of his comments, do you really believe that the Latino community is going to rebel at this point?
Oh, I think so. You saw one of the biggest pop stars, Nicky Jam, who was just on stage with Trump, MAGA hat and everything, just maybe 2 weeks ago, come out and say he's rescinding his endorsement. He's standing up for his people. His dad's Puerto Rican. He's not cool with the statement of calling Puerto Rico a floating island of trash.
Horrible.
That was disgusting. That was vile. But it wasn't the only comment that was made that night. They really laid it on with the racial stereotype and jokes that I didn't take as jokes. They're trying to say, oh, it was just jokes. It was just jokes. No, I don't think so. I think it was vile and disgusting.
Yeah, it was.
And I think this will lead to a lot of Puerto Ricans being mobilized. And if you look at it, neighborhoods that needed to be activated in that North Philly area. Of course, New York.
For those of you who on the other side of Broad Street, it's a Latino city over there, and I'm hearing they are
fired up. But also, you look at Texas, you look at Florida, you look at places Arizona as well too, places that have larger Latino populations.
The Republican Party in Florida.
It has
I believe.
been, yes, but it's been Cuban voters, right?
Okay.
So again, while they may not have been directly impacted, a lot of people did not like those comments and feel some type of way. So again, also making the comments about they love making babies and everything, that was just uncalled for. Uncalled for.
What it speaks that they, as I said on my show earlier today, they said the quiet part out loud. This is the conversation that has been had with we who are minorities. This is the conversation that's been had about the Black and brown people, whether it be these are considered jokes. My Aunt Lil, who was not a highly educated woman, she often said that there's a lot of truth said in jokes of people's heart, how they really feel. And then for people to be laughing. Now, I heard everybody at that place wasn't laughing.
Right.
Some people took offense to some of the things that were said. However, enough of them were there. And then, do you know Donald Trump have not apologized yet?
Oh, he's not going to. I don't know what people don't understand. He doubles down on everything. But he showed you who he was 8 years ago at this point when he was first elected in 2016, in 2017 with the Muslim ban, with attacking the Latino community, with attacking the Black community, with attacking women, with attacking the disability community. If you're not a white man, Donald Trump will attack you and doesn't think you should have the same rights as him.
Well, if you are a white man and disagree with him, he'll attack you too.
Yeah, that too.
Because he'll find
Jeff
a way.
Flake saw that.
Yeah, he'll find a way to get you. And even if you got a great grandfather who may be a part of the one of these minority groups, then certainly he will. Let me ask you seriously, and because people are watching is wondering what your opinion is, my opinion is. Do you really believe, without your partisan hat on, do you really believe Kamala Harris is going to win this election?
I think she does have a chance to win. I think it's going to be extremely close. As of right now, I don't think either candidate gets to 300 electoral votes.
But we disagree on that one. I do believe Kamala's going to get to 300. I do believe she's going to win. I watch some things. I know how sexist this country is when it comes down to women, okay? And I also know that she's a Black woman.
Yes.
Or a woman of color. And one of the things that I'm very concerned about is when we turn on our own. And with all the battle that she has to go uphill to try to get to break that glass ceiling, I really do believe with all of my heart, this is the moment. I've been listening carefully to some of those swing states. I've been listening to people saying this is feeling stronger than Obama time. I hope they're just not talking. But based on some of the reporting, people who I trust in their reporting, they're saying they're feeling the movement. And when Trump gave them the October surprise through his closing party, as I call it, I think that people have been, and Latinos were a part of his base, to be honest with you, because they really believed in certain things he was saying. And I think this is that was what God sent. Because one of the jokes the comedian said was that God had voted a couple of months ago, I guess, when he saved Trump's life. The reality of it is, I think God then spoke to make his decision when he allowed that comedian to make the comments he made, and for people to be offended to the level they were offended, and for people to come out of nowhere, especially the one brother you just named, who is an artist, decided, I'm rescinding.
Yep.
And people want to follow suit. Do you believe that?
I do. So again, we only got a few more days.
Yeah.
Less than 72 hours.
Yeah.
And I hope people really pay attention to what's going on these last few days. And they make a very smart decision when they go to the polls. But like I said, it's going to be extremely close. I think you will be shocked at how close it is. But I think, the next step will be making sure we have a very peaceful, not transition of power, but ushering ushering in this historic.
Well, if he was to win, it would be peaceful because they both will be very generous and kind. But if he loses, that's what you're really saying.
Yes.
There's some fear there. But I will say this, and this is one of the hard questions I'm acting like I'm interviewing you. Give me two mistakes that you think Kamala may have made and two things you think she did exceptionally well.
Yeah, so one with the campaign, I think they invested too long in Florida and in Ohio. Those are two states that are going to go red. I know you have Senate candidates who are running and trying to boost that there to kind of boost up the additional votes. But I think the real hot zones that you should have been focusing in on is Atlanta, Georgia overall, but then also Arizona as well too. I think Nevada is another one that I don't know which way Nevada is going to go, and it's always very close out there.
Do you believe that Atlanta's going to go around?
I don't know if Georgia goes blue again. I have a decent feeling that Arizona will go blue. And again, Nevada is going to be, however, the weather's good that day. That's how close it's probably going to be. What about
Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania is going to be a nail biter. We need Philly. We need Pittsburgh. We need Allegheny County. We need Bucks County. We need all of Philadelphia to turn out in record numbers to make sure we win this. There's some others, Erie. I don't know if I said that already, but there's some other counties in which we just need to run even with. But if those areas, Allegheny County, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Bucks, if they turn out in good numbers, we win Pennsylvania. But again, it's going to be boots on the ground, getting people fired up, getting people to the polls, driving. So if you have some extra time, you have a van, you have a truck, you have a car, you have a bike, you have a scooter you can let someone use, please let them use it up in the Philly area close to us, and really make sure we help drive out that vote there. That is going to be the determinant. I will say this, Pennsylvania will determine this election.
Yeah, I believe now that I didn't believe that at first, but I do believe that now. You know, I think it's really a disgrace and a shame that she has to run flawless and he gets to be just very, very open and a candidate. And have done so many
Welcome to America.
It's just sad. It's sad. I mean,
the black person always has to work 10 times harder than their counterpart. She is a qualified attorney who went on to be a DA, who went on to be the largest state's attorney general, who went on to represent the largest state in the U.S. Senate, who went on to be the vice president. And he is a business owner who never really had any money, always been broke, corrupt, convicted felon, impeached. I could keep going on.
Right. And
they're still on the same level right now.
Which speaks really, it gives a picture to America. And, you know, and as soon as you say that, they'll start attacking. Do you hate America? You hate America. It's not about we hate America. We love America. Matter of fact, America has been good to us, some of us. But I do think at the end of the day, it's a disgrace that she has to be so flawless.
Yeah.
And he just can just do what he wants to do and say what he wanted to say, and never apologize. And the press moves on. They just move on and let him do that. It's just horrible. So now we talked about that. I believe, give me two things you think she did really well with.
So I think in a very short amount of time, she's been able to pull a huge coalition of people together, one that Biden didn't have for 2024, whether it's the youth, whether it's the Republicans, independents. She has pulled together a solid group. Even George Bush's daughter is out campaigning for her right now.
I was shocked.
I always mess up his last name, but Arnold, the Terminator.
Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, him.
I
didn't want to say the other one.
Right.
That on TV?
Right, yeah. And sometimes I messed it up too, so I think I got to write this down.
Announced just the other day on Wednesday.
And who would have ever thought
he voted?
He is a starch Republican.
He is.
Who think the Democrats are crazy with their liberal ways.
Two-term Republican governor of California, and he voted for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. So again, we are at a point in which we're seeing longtime Republicans not only saying, hey, yeah, I support this person, but they're out knocking doors. They're out making calls. These are people who have been in the highest of the high positions. Jeff Flake is knocking doors. The former U.S. Senator from Arizona, Republican conservative, is knocking doors for Kamala Harris.
And you know why I think, and this is some of the things I keep hearing them say, it's not that they agree with her policies, but they believe in democracy. And in order for democracy to be strong, there has to be two parties.
Yeah.
Right now, there is no two parties. There's a cult and a party. And what I believe all these Republicans who are starch, conservatives, I believe they're saying to themselves, if we can get Trump to lose, we can probably get our party back. And I hope that is the truth. That they're able to, because I think that we should not be unchecked. I think that the Democrats should be able to, okay, let's take it this time, but then have to fight for it the next time, because we got some sound people who bring sound, because there's some policies I agree with the Democrats, some I don't agree with. But at the end of the day, with Trump, this is horrible.
It is. And I think, a part of that group, she's also the celebrities who've come out for the first time. You look at people like Don Omar, who is known as the king of reggaeton, coming out and supporting her. And who does Trump have? Trump has Brett Favre, one of the greatest NFL quarterbacks who also stole $77 million from Mississippi, one of the poorest states already, welfare. So again, these criminals want Trump.
That's
Why?
right.
Because if he can get off, hopefully they can get
That's
off.
right.
But what they don't know is people who are around Trump will go to jail, lose their licenses.
And he'll still be free.
Talk to Rudy.
Isn't that horrible?
But he never goes to jail. He never gets in trouble. He never loses anything. So again, this is going to be extremely, extremely important going forward. I think another thing that she did very well is you cannot say she did what Hillary Clinton did. She has been to all the swing states multiple times.
Right. And
just on Wednesday alone, after that historic night closing speech in D.C., she was in 3 different states. She was in Georgia. She was in Arizona, North Carolina, and Wisconsin, all on the same day. On Thursday, she was in Georgia and Pennsylvania. They are crisscrossing this state and this country. And they are working very hard, but she, as the top of the ticket, is going to the places, not just sending the vice president nominee, not just sending surrogates, but she herself is going places. I know it has to be tiring on the body, but she is running a campaign like none other. She is not stopping until November 5th, and then she is ready to serve starting November the 6th and on.
Yeah, I am very grateful that she ended up being the nominee, and I hope that she will become the first president. She'll become the president, first woman president of the United States of America. Coby, we're in serious times. We're out of time though, but we're in serious times. And I want everybody to take serious. I don't know which camera to look at. I look at my camera. I really want us to take serious what we are experiencing. This will be the election that will dictate the trajectory of America. I don't say it often, and because our show reaches beyond just Delaware, because we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, please get out and vote. Please, all of my family and friends and colleagues in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, you gotta go. My aunt, I wore her shirt. She bought me a coffee with curry shirt. Aunt Jenny, make sure Mom Bowser and all of them get out there and vote. Mom Mitchell, get them there. Get them there. We can get our loved ones to church. This is critical. And I wanted to end our show today by reminding you that in just 72 hours, 2 days, Tuesday, this coming Tuesday will be election day. Now, for those of you who still got time to run over to the Powell Center or to one of these centers that's doing some early voting, you can do that. You have until 7 o'clock. If you're in line, certainly you can stay in line. But for those of you who want to wait, like I do, I'm a traditional person. I ask that you please don't let nothing stop you from voting. I said to our staff here that I will give you the free extra hour for you if you have not voted. I need to know that everybody got I have voted stickers. We have to vote. Delaware is a blue state, but we should not even take that for granted because we don't know what the hidden agendas are.
Right.
And one of the things I loved about when I was talking to Matt, I said to Matt, if I could turn back to you again, I said to Matt, aren't you glad you're the next governor? He said, Curry, honestly, I can't say that right now because we're living in different times. Even though Delaware is a blue state, we don't know what the undercurrent is. So he says, all I'm going to do is I'm going to keep working and I'm going to keep working. And if you watch him at the debate, he acted as if he is still working because we can't take anything for granted. The mega or MAGA, whatever you want to call these people, they are very serious. I got one who lived not too far from me and he got this big sign out that says Trump world. That's the cult. But you can have culture. America is a democracy. We have not ever always been perfect, and we have not always made every decision right. But we had 2 parties, and we can debate the issues without attacking each other. And this new cult is doing all it can to attack. I hope you go out and vote. I really hope you go out and vote because your vote, it matters. If never before, it matters now. Coby, before we close, is there anything else you want to share before we go today?
Listen, just vote, vote, vote. And again, we may not have the results on Tuesday night, but keep the faith. Listen, we have to pull this off. So after you vote, text 3 friends, call 3 friends, especially if they live in one of the swing states, call them and remind them to go vote themselves.
Yes. And if you vote like we did with Obama, if you vote, you will make the difference. I hope that you enjoyed today's show. We're coming back next week, Coby. We're going to have a lot to talk about next week now.
Yeah, no.
And I hope by the time we record this show next week, we'll have a decision. But if not, I think that it's going to be a whole lot we're going to talk about. And whoever wins, we're going to really give it an analysis. So I look forward to it. So don't you go out of town next week. You stay right in town until we get through this election. Until the next time, God bless you.
Take care, y'all.
You've been watching The Sword with host Dr. C.T. Curry and co-host Coby Owens. Tune in every Sunday at 5 p.m. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for the latest episodes.